Yeah, I remember hearing, I think it was a story in a football fan, and I think it was Rio talking about Cristiano Ronaldo when he joined Man United, and he wasn't yet the superstar that he became, but he was still a good player. And he went around there and he had like, who's that? Oh, that's the full-time chef. Okay. Who's that? Well, that's the other cook. And it's like, he had two full-time, cuisine staff. And it's like no other footballer, even Man United, was doing that then. And it was just thinking at a different level. And guess what? Where he ended up. I'm sure it's a lot of phenomenal hard work on the football pitch as well, but they just think at a different level, and they're not afraid of the team. So that's a really good point. We'll talk a little bit about profile. Go on.
Before we do that, would it be helpful if I just shared with you for the listeners and on this the formula that I've always taught clients about how to recruit somebody? Would that be useful?
Yeah, it'd be great. In fact, I was actually going to lead us that way a little bit anyway. So yeah, perfect.
Well, look, so here are things I've recognized that people get stuck because they get into this mindset of, oh, I need to hire somebody, right? And the first thing you should always outsource is or hire or someone in to help with is all the stuff that's not your, right? So if in my case, that's finance and admin, so hire somebody to run that because that's not my flow. I don't generate, it's not where I contribute value, right? So the way it works is like this. Most people get stuck because they think they have to have the whole salary ready in one go. Right? You say, I want to hire somebody, and your brain immediately thinks, oh, crikey, I'm going to have to pay them. So let's just say it's $25,000 a year. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. Now, what happens is that for most smaller businesses and bigger businesses, right? And I can tell you a great story. It's a client of mine who now runs a business doing 1.8 million, employing 35 people, right? Joined me, and she was in the room that you came actually. And she was a solopreneur with one part-time member of staff. She was just about to hire a full-time first member of staff, right? First member. And she went through all of these fears and emotions. If I hire them, what if I can't pay them? You know, all of the stuff, the head trash, because we start thinking about that number. And for many people, I haven't got 25 grand to spend. What if I can't afford it? And they get trapped, right? So what I did then, and I taught her that and just broke it down, and it still works today. And it doesn't matter where you're at, by the way. I can tell you a client of mine who does 5 million a year. The first time they hired a senior board director at 150,000 a year, they went through exactly the same emotions that this lady went through hiring somebody at 20 grand. Because when you write, because you go, I've got to find 150 grand for this person. It's like it gets in you, right? So the first question is, can you afford them for the following equation? Can you afford 50% of their salary, right, for the first 3 months? Not 50% of that, but 50% of the salary for the first 3 months. If you can do that, then hire them. And here's why. They should be able to take things off your plate that justify the other 50% so that you can create more value, right? If they can't, after 3 months, probationary period over, let them go. So your maximum exposure is only ever 3 months. It's not 25 grand. In this, about 4,500. So you take that in half. You say, look, that's 2,2. So the question is, can I afford 2,250 over the next 3 months to test it, to test this person? Can I afford that? And then most people go, well, yeah, I can cash flow that. Great, do it. But most of us get hung up on this. What if I hire them and it's 25 grand, doesn't work?
Yeah, it's this idea that we need to have the whole journey sussed out before we take a step, right? And it doesn't work that way. Take a step and, you work, you might have a little bit of a picture, but the reality is, the job role might change, the clients might change, you might have a pivot along the way.
Perfection.
Yeah.
Progress, not perfection. But here's what, everybody who's ever done this, every time I hired somebody and they brought them in and they've got the right contribution and they've hired them in, right? And they've done this within 90 days. They're like, I can't believe, how did we live without that person? Because they then start giving them loads of other stuff that they was on their plate that they suddenly get rid of. And they go, I can't believe I'm able to get that off my plate. And I always say, listen, if you could make one extra sale a week as of hiring somebody, would you hire them? And most people go, well, yeah. Well, great. So what are you waiting for? Yeah. We get in our own way with this stuff all the time. I just hired a copywriter yesterday. Because why? Because I got 4 books that I want to get written that are in progress at the moment. And if I want to achieve my goal of, by the time we come out of all this craziness of having 4 different books that are going to 4 different audiences, there's no way I can do that on my own. Can't do it. So if I want to achieve that goal, I'm going to need to build a team and I need a copywriter who can help me get there much quicker, right? And all wealth is, and it says this in Think and Grow Rich, right? Wealth is condensed time. That's all it is. And your job in a business is to condense the time it takes you to get to where you want to go. That's it.
Yeah. And I know
the game.
I mean, some people really don't like this idea of kind of competition. Personally, I'm okay with it. And, you know, there is an element of competition about business. There are other people, you know, in a similar industries offering similar services. And if there's nobody doing the similar service, then you're doing something really bizarre and it's probably impossible to sell it or very unlikely. So there is some natural competition. So, and I think that's healthy. And I actually quite like remembering that. And it's okay, how do we push ahead? So every time I get an obstacle, yeah, it's a pain. I moan about it. I swear a lot. And then I go, well, that's another competitor I just got rid of because I'm going to get through this barrier that they will fall off, you know. And if there's a challenge around, okay, we're going to find like team member, somebody else won't have done that. Okay, that's somebody else we've got rid of. So I kind of like these barriers. And I work in, and as you do, the sort of knowledge industry, right? We're effectively giving out or giving people advice, knowledge. I do a lot of electronic products as well. And in that, it's, you know, put it simplest, it's a distribution of content. So if we're not able to do that well, high quality product, and just get it in the hands of a lot of people, then we're not going to be performing our job as business owners very well. And you talked about 4 books. I mean, clearly that's somebody that is thinking, okay, you know, who only, you know, who does 1 book? What the hell? Let's do 4.
Well, it's only because I've got 3 different businesses that serve. I mean, you know, I have a part of my business that's in the knowledge industry, but I have a part of my business that's in the technology business, a part of my business that's in the kind of people empowerment industry. And yeah, but knowledge is a part of that, but it's about sharing your message. It's about, look, I'm writing books because for me, at the moment, I want to use the time that we have right now, which is a gift, to go and do projects going to serve people, right? The question I always ask is, look, if I want to make more money, how do I add more value? Okay. So if I want to, you know, how do I add more value? I could add value by having a conversation like this with you that gets distributed. I can add value by writing a book because then I can get that book to 1,000 people rather than me talk to 1,000 people one-to-one. Got 3 different businesses, well, actually four different businesses that they need books now that are different than they were 3 months ago, because the world is very different now. So everything we had 3 months ago, it be redesigned and re-engineered and rebuilt and repositioned, because everybody has different challenges coming out of this kind of COVID crisis than they had before. And the way you sell and market will be radically different post everything that's going on with Black Lives Matter and everything like that. It's a very different world now, right? If you market the way if you try and market now the way you did in February, you're going to fall flat on your face because it doesn't work like that anymore. The world, people's values have been fundamentally shifted in the last 4 months beyond recognition.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't tend to even guess really about where we're going to sort of land. I mean, I think you probably have had to ask that of yourself more if you're writing these books. So tell us a little bit about these books.
Well, so they're just
brief version.
Well, I can show you. Do you want to see it? I can show you the plan if you want.
Yeah, why not?
Do you really want me to show you? Should I show you how I plan stuff? Would that help? I don't know. It might help.
Well, I'll tell you what. I'm interested. Give us the book titles or the proposed book titles, because I'm interested about, you know, how they are talking about the sort of current situation.
This is my book projects. This is how I think. Okay. I need to get it out of my head and onto paper, right? So there's one up here, which is going to be called Sales Dynamics, because the way you sell now in the world is totally different to the way you used to sell before, right? And the working title is Sales Dynamics, but it's probably going to be something along the lines of serve hard, sell easy, because it's now all about how do you serve people rather than how do you sell people, right? So the book, and it's this book I wrote 2 years ago, and it's going to be a revision of that and a complete update of that, about serve hard, sell easy. It's about this whole kind of mindset now is stop selling, start serving, right? So it's like, how do we come from that in that perspective? So that's kind of all that. I already started work on this one, and that's the 5 steps. This is a tip on this call, right? If you can't break a project down into 5 steps, it's too big. It's taken me years to figure this out, Simon. It's like, if I can't get it done in 5 steps, then I can't get it done. Because I'm not using technology or I'm not using a team to get it done. I have to get it done in 5 steps. If I can get it done on 5 post-it notes, I can get it done. Because now all I've got to do is tick the next post-it note off, right? And it's like, this is just how I approach anything, whether it's building a sales funnel, recruiting somebody. It's like, right, we've got 5 steps. What are the 5 steps? And then who's going to do each one, right?
Yeah.
So
I also have a 5. I always think 5 is a magic number. Anything more complicated than 5, you break it down, you put the other elements underneath that sort of chapter heading or whatever.
There are usually 5 big moves or 5 big getting anything done, right? Like there are 5. And then it's not a how question. Who's going to do that? Who do we know who can help with that? Who can we partner with for that? Who can we buy that from? Then you shift into who questions, not how questions. Because how questions block you, because if you don't know how, then you tend to stop. Whereas if you go, yeah, but who do I know? Oh, well, I can talk to Sarah, or I can talk to Gavin, or I can talk to Marcus. It doesn't matter. I can talk to anybody. They can help me get there, right? So it's a who, not a how question. Then this is a book I'm writing called Trust Your Team, because I think that one of the entrepreneurs and business owners struggle with is trusting the people around them. It's like, and that's because they don't understand the people on their team. They don't understand what their contribution could be, and they don't understand how to trust the team to do what they want them to do. So that's the book that's kind of being written in a minute, and it's based around the profiling tool that I invested in and bought last year, and it's talking about understanding how people function, how different people contribute value, what you should trust them to do, what they're never going to do. Because if you give somebody the wrong job and it's not their flow, they're never going to do it, and that's the fault. That's your fault for not understanding where their talent was and how to use their skills. That's on you, isn't it? So that's that book. Then there's one called Grown Up Business Secrets. This is going to be, I've got 12 amazing case studies of people who've been in my masterminds for at least 4 years, who've built, gone from like literally kind of like, a couple of 100,000 to multiple million business owners now. And I'm like, they built what I call a grown up business, right? It's a proper grown up business. It runs like a business. It doesn't run a hobby. Right. And so that I've got 12 of those stories and 12 of those cases. And I thought now would be a really great time to pull them together into a book and go, here's what they did. Here's how it worked. Here's, 12 different industries. Here's how you can model this. So that's kind of like, we decided like last week to start doing that. And then there's one called Fill Your Funnel, which is me and my business partner, Adam, writing about how to funnel with lead opportunities, and kind of why most funnels are broken and how to fix them. So it's like each one of those books has a strategic reason, because it's going to spread our message, but they're also designed to position us as experts or solve a very real problem, which has a solution, which is, here's how you can do it, or we can help you if you want to have our help and assistance with either our products, our programs, or the people on our team. So, but that's just how I go, look, those would be really cool assets, and cash follows assets. Build the right assets, cash follows assets. But
yeah, I'm totally on board with that. I mean, that's really what I do, right? I mean, I was, as you know, used to do a lot of mobile apps for people, and I'm not sure it's much by design, but I ended up producing apps for a lot of solopreneurs. And that was an app that they would sell to their clients, but really that worked commercially when they got them from the app to their other services, and marketing, a paid for marketing tool. So it was a digital asset that really worked for them. So I totally understand the books, etc. So you're basically not sleeping for a while. Is this the plan?
No, because you see, it's really interesting. People say that. It's like, no, that's not the case. So my profile means that I've got this high level of energy, what's called activating energy. So I'm really good at getting this stuff started. So, but I know that my activating energy will run out by about 2 o'clock in the afternoon, right? So for me, by 3 o'clock, I'm dead. It's like I'm no use to anybody at that point. So I tend to, in lockdown, I'll go and have a snooze in the afternoon for a couple of hours and come back in the evening. But if I'm going to write or create, it's got to be in the morning. So I have a really good discipline. Get up at 4:30, 4:45. Come down, write for 90 minutes, then go work out. I'm on a rest day today, so hence I'm doing this call with you. But most mornings, I out for an hour, then I come back, have breakfast with my wife, and then I write again for another hour. So if you compound that across a week, I get 12 to 14 hours of writing in a week.
That's good.
But then the key thing is here, each piece you'll see there's a section here. It's usually about step 3 or step 4, where I hand it off to a copywriter or an editor. So I'm getting it out of my head into a format that I can give it to somebody else, who will then take it the last 30% of the way to get it finished. So it's like my job is to get it here and then hand it off. It's like a relay race. And then then it's like I'm trying to do the whole project. I'm going, I've got to get it to the relay point. They're going to finish it for me.
Yeah, and I think when you clear stuff out, it's like clearing your cache, right? You clear stuff that you've got room for other stuff to come in, and
Totally.
you know, memory and brain capacity is more like a river than it is a library shelf. I think you know you can empty that shelf, more stuff can flow in, and you can move into the next chapter, the next task, next item. I really like that actually. I think it just feels very, very healthy. I mean, lots we could talk about, but
was that help? Was that at all helpful?
Yeah, it's great. It's great. I'm just so I'm just amazing. Got so much. Why write one book when you can write four? Hilarious.
Well, do you know what? So there's a kind of like, I had a book for 2 years, right? I haven't written a book because I haven't felt that I really knew what I wanted to say at that particular point. I didn't have stories that I wanted to tell or things I wanted to share. And now I've really got clear on who I want to serve and therefore what I want to say. And now it's like, right. And I was like, well, okay, let's ask the question. What if I write 4 books in 90 days? Now, you know, the reality is they're all 4 get written in 90 days isn't really the point. If 2 of them get written in 90 days, we've just moved the needle massively, right? If 3 of them get written in 90 days, holy crap, that's game changer, right? So like, but Elon Musk, I saw a great quote this morning from Elon Musk. He said, most people say that's a 10-year goal and then they wait 10 years. He says, I say that's a 10-year goal and ask, how could I do it in 6 months? And all I did with that was go, well, I could write a book a year for 4 years, or I could write 4 books in 90 days. How would I do that? Well, I can't do that on my own. I'm going to have a team, and I'm going to have to go recruit a copywriter and an editor, and I've got to go build the team. The team will make the dream, right? And it's just that. Yeah, but what if I only had 90 days to live? Okay, so how would you get it done? Because you've only got 90 days, and then that's it, game over, right? It's like, well, how would you wouldn't care about, I've got loads of time. It's the urgency factor missing for most of us. We don't have enough urgency.
Yeah. And also I think you can make it fun. I mean, that could be a challenge, and that the element of challenge can make it can pull us along, you know, and actually having restricting yourself to a certain amount of time, it adds some energy to it, right? If you said, okay, well, today I'm going to write 1 chapter. I've wiped out everything of my calendar and I've got anything on today. All I'm going to do is write 1 chapter. Well, you go into it at that pace. If I've got 1 hour to write a frigging chapter. Okay, I haven't got time to write. Let's get the dictaphone out. Done. Fire it off.
So give you an example. So let me tell you a quick story. So Jamie Oliver, yes, the best-selling chef, right? Amazing guy. My sister used to be working his company. All of Oliver's first 5 books that sold millions of copies, every single one was done on dictaphone. He never wrote a single one. So it's like we have to get out of our own way with some of this stuff, because if you love the profile that loves to talk, then talk, right? And then get it recorded, get it transcribed, use technology like .com to get it transcribed, give it to an editor or a copywriter and let them polish it. Brian Tracy talks about, he does a book it's insane. He does a book every 90 days. He hasn't written any of them for years. He just audio transcribes them, gets his VA to type them up, gives them to the editor polishes them, and that's it. And it's like, well, okay, that can't be right. All right.
Yeah.
You know, now you need a team. I've got a great designer to hand stuff off to who'll design stuff I want done. So it's about, like, when you've got a team, the speed you can move at is dramatically accelerated because you've got the right team behind you. You know, when you're the only one to change the tires, change the oil, fix this, you know, tune up the engine, when you're the only person doing it, it's like you can't move very fast. It's as simple as that.
Yeah, and I think, you know, probably there's an underlying idea of crafting something, and there's, you know, something beautiful about doing that. You know, if you're a car enthusiast and you're polishing your car at the weekends, yeah, sure, that's okay. But
that's,
you know,
a hobby, though.
Yeah,
that's not
exactly. And I think there's areas where it's lovely to do that, but in business, in most cases, there's. I don't think you like the word efficiency, but there needs to be a more elegant, more productive flow. Flow is a great word for it. Yeah, brilliant. And one thing I don't we could go into any detail, but I'm just perhaps somebody's interested in the sort of profiling tool. That sounds very interesting. I think that would be very valuable. Try going into detail here. How does that work? Is that a location people go to online, or is that an event? How does that work?
Yeah, well, no. It's all online. So the cool thing about it is it's based on this idea of contribution, and it's the world's #1 profiling tool for building high performing teams. So it's specifically designed about building teams. It's not designed to say how you learn. It's designed to say, what's your contribution to a team and who do you need around you to get the most out of you, right? So that's exactly where it's designed. And if people want to go to contributioncompass.co.uk/special offer, right, then they can save, I think it's £15 on the profile. That's something that we have as a hidden page for events where I talk like this, right?
Okay,
So
I'll include the link in the description so people can get access to that.
Yeah, contributioncompass.co.uk/special offer. So I'll send you the link afterwards just to make sure you got it right, okay?
Yeah.
But like, so here's the thing. You go through that. It asks you 24 questions. It's got 96 data points, and it will come back and it will give you a really detailed breakdown of where you contribute value to a team, which is really useful, you know, in terms of where should you work in a team. And it will also explain who do you need around you on a team to actually to magnify your brilliance and to really make sure that you get what you need. So if you're an entrepreneur, it'll explain who are the people that you need to hire around you to get to where you want to go faster. So it'll actually break down, look, this is you, this is who you need, based on these 8 archetypes, which is the catalyst, the champion, coach, conductor, cultivator, conductor, calibrator. There you go, all 8. They're on the wall over there. Yeah. But it's 4. And this is over $100,000 to build, and it was built with one of the world's leading authorities on the I Ching, based in South Africa, a lady who actually lectures at Metaphysics University on it. And it's this whole idea of flow. And have we got time for me to teach one thing?
Sure.
Can I teach one thing?
Absolutely.
If I can be really transparent for me, I'm really sick and nearly died. A large amount of that was because I'd spent 4 years of my life trying to build a business out of flow. Right, I tried to build a franchise that was so not my thing. I didn't build the team. I tried to do it all on my own. I got really out of flow, and I got really and then I had an asthma attack, and next thing you know, I'm fighting for my life. Right, literally can't breathe. So you know that when you're out of flow trying to build something, that's what it feels like. Since then, in the last 5 years, I've started 3 companies, built them all very successfully, and that's not me because I'm in flow and I've built a team around me who do all the stuff I hate. But it's their flow, it's their thing, it's what they're brilliant at. And then in 5 years, we've got 3 companies that are massively successful, right? So it's like, what's the difference? This is understanding who you are, but also understanding that energy is a currency. Okay? So let's assume my profile, let's just say I'm a catalyst, right? So catalyst is, it's not quite the same as, but you would probably historically have called it a creator, but we call it as a catalyst because you're the guy with the spark, the ideas, you get stuff moving, you bring that new to a project, you get stuff moving, right? You're not the guy to finish stuff. You're not the guy to be around to tick all the boxes, do all the detail, but you're the guy who can come in, see the big picture, spark the ideas, get things moving. That's your job. That's your value to a team, is that you get stuff off the blocks, right? The launch pad. Think about it like that, right?
Yeah. And before you just go to the next bit, Paul, just want to sort of say to people that perhaps have never used a tool like this, and I've probably historically, and going back quite a while now, would have been a little bit kind of like, what the hell, and really, and I haven't used your tool yet. I look forward to trying it actually. I have used tools, we've used similar tools in the past, and they're pretty frigging phenomenal. It's like, holy shit, like I can't believe that a tool could be so insightful. And I then, from that point onwards, anytime I hire somebody, I pay them for the test. They go and do the test. I don't really care about the CV or anything else. That is the biggest decider if I'm going to work with that person. So I'm totally, a lover, convinced about the power of this stuff. So anyone that's not yet convinced, then please look at this. It's good stuff.
No, I appreciate you saying that. We actually are just finishing the coding on a free tool that we're launching in July this year, which we'll be giving away to people. Because most people hire the wrong person because they need. So this free tool is actually going to enable you to go through an online questionnaire, and it will generate you a free report that says, based on how you've answered all the questions, this is the profile of the person you actually need right now. Because most people get it wrong because they don't really know what they need. So we've just found that, want to help people solve that problem by actually creating an online quiz, essentially, that will give them the answer of what they need, so that we demystify some of that stuff, right? Yeah. But anyway, just want to go back to this concept of flow for a second, okay? So this is something that took me years to learn about myself, first of all, is that energy is a currency. And because beings, we're like 75, 80% water, energy within us flows at different times of the day, right? So like for you, are you a morning person or an evening person?
I think there's only 2 types of people. There's morning people and those people that want to kill morning people. And I'm the latter.
I generally like to keep things fairly optimistic and avoid murder wherever possible. So I'm going to say you're an evening person then,
Yeah,
right? Yeah, before we get arrested or anything, right? We have two sides to our profile, okay? So depending on where your energy is, here's what's interesting. Human beings are full of water. So the energy in us moves. It doesn't stay static, depending on the time of day, depending on what you're doing with your day, depending on the jobs you're doing, right? So what happens is you actually pendulum between these two.
Okay.
Right? So give you an example. Quick story. So 2 years ago, I'm running a 3-day seminar, right, in Spain for a lot of our clients. Now, me on stage for 3 means I've got to swing really far out here to the champion energy because I'm on stage for 3 days. I've got to do all of that. Yeah. The problem is when I come off that 3-day energy, I'm exhausted because I've literally used all of it. Mm. So now I swing back, and this is where initially I used to assume, well, you just swing back to the middle of the pendulum, but you don't. You swing all the way back over here. Yeah. So suddenly you become a very different person overnight. So like the day after the end of the seminar, I woke up the next morning and I don't want to talk to anybody. Like, I'm not joking, right? Like I go right out to the calibrator, which is I want to be on my own, in my own head. I don't want to talk to anybody. I got on an airplane, put noise cancelling headphones on, put a hoodie on. I just was like, everyone leave me the hell alone. Became this really quite nasty kind of person to be around. And my team were like, what's wrong with you? And this is where I figured it out. It's like, look, if I go too far over here, I swing too far over here. So it's like, what we're trying to do is reduce the pendulum swing down. You don't get these extremes, or understand that if you do get the extreme, you've got systems that support you. So like, for example, last year when we went to do the same 3-day event, the day afterwards, the taxi came, picked me up really early morning, shipped me to another. I spent the whole day relaxing at a hotel on my own. I had a massage. I was chilled. I got a different flight back from the team so that I had that decompression time so that I didn't do any damage in the swing. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. I think it's brilliant, actually. Really like that. It's really succinct. It makes a lot of sense.
But this explains why in teams, have you ever had this? Because this happens all the time, right? Where you go, I really like John. John's great, but sometimes I want to kill him, and sometimes I think he's great. And what you're basically saying is, if both of your pendulums swing out to a point where you clash, that's when you sparks fly. But when they're swinging in opposite directions, you get on like a house on fire. Yeah. And then people go, oh, that explains it. So like, I think
this has to happen. I think like metabolically, this has to happen. Now, we've all been in situations, right? We go out there and we perform on stage, or you're an athlete and you perform on the track, or whatever it might be. And maybe you don't allow yourself to recover. And that's okay. We can do that for a while. Guess what? You do that for too long and then you will crash. And then you'll go to the other extreme incredibly deeply. And it might be 6 months recovery. So I think this actually has to happen. And if you can balance it more often, then it's going to be healthy for you. And I've been in situations where I've just, for want of a better expression, worked myself too hard, but it's really just not getting this balance right. And I've, crashed a little bit like you have, and had health issues, not as significant as yours, but significant nonetheless, and scary, and it was absolutely directly in line with what I was doing.
Because all that's happening is, what happens when you go to the extreme is you break the pendulum, and basically the pendulum can't come back. That's really what happened. I mean, I went so far outside the pendulum it broke, and I needed a set of paramedics to get me back, just to get the pendulum swinging again, right? Yeah. And this, once I realized this, I was like, holy crap, this is, so when we coded the report and we put the profile together, I insisted that we had a section for everybody, so that when you take the file, it explains your pendulum, how it will swing and where it will show up and how you will change. So like, it changes in selling situations. I'll give you an example of this. Like, you can go into a sales meeting with a potential client and their pendulum swings out to one side where they're super excited and they think what you're doing is brilliant. And you go back for the second meeting and it's like you walk in the room with a completely different person, right? They're really cold. They're really shut down. There's no bindings. They want lots of detail. And you're like, what happened? What happened between the last meeting and this meeting? And it's like, nothing happened to you. Their pendulum is just in a different place today than it was when you walked in last time. And if you don't know that, you'll do the wrong thing and you'll handle it wrongly. And this, when I got this, it explained totally so much, and it helped with my kids and with Jonathan and with my wife about where's her pendulum right now and where's mine at. Because if ours aren't right, then we'll have issues. So this is in every. If you go to the link underneath this and you take the profile, you'll actually get a report, and it will explain your pendulum swing and how to, what the dangers are and how to mitigate it.
That sounds fascinating. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Sign me up.
I'll send you a link after this. Yeah, but this is interesting, right? Because I've never taught it like that.
Absolutely.
But it's how it works, right? It's not a static thing.
Absolutely.
We're constantly in flow as human beings. We're either in flow or out of flow. In flow or out of flow. There's no static. You're never static.
Yeah, I live for a lot of my time in Thailand. A lot of people here, it's almost a norm to work 6 days a week. And I've always kind of wondered, well, are they producing more work per week? And I know all the evidence suggests that no, they're not, actually probably less. And, you know, I think there's quite a strong argument to move actually towards a 4-day week and actually be more productive. So, you know, this is kind of in line with that, which is a big topic, and I probably can't dive into too heavily now, but really fascinating stuff, Paul. I think we're probably going to have to cap it there. So you can start writing one of your 42 books.
Well, I'm really glad you let me share that at the end there. I really appreciate the gift of the extra few minutes you gave me, and hopefully everybody watching this got some value out of this, and they got some practical things that they could do. I would suggest, I would after any session, that like write down 3 things or 3 ideas that you're going to execute as a result of this conversation if you're listening or watching to it. And remember, you got 72 hours to get stuff done. So like, what are 3 things that you can get moving on? I would suggest one is take the profile, just because, you know, it'll help you understand yourself and then understand who you need around you to be more successful. When you understand that, suddenly you'll be far kinder to yourself and far more forgiving about the things you're not a failure. You're not broken. There's nothing wrong with you. That's not your flow. That's it. It's as simple as that, right? You don't need to do nothing. You're not broken. And so it's just build a team that compensates for the parts of your profile that don't swing that easily, right?
Yeah, and actually, it's a really good reminder for me because, you know, sometimes I can be guilty, and maybe all of us can, you know, I know that stuff. But it's actually really nice to have a reminder here. I haven't done your specific test. I definitely will do, because it's been a while, and it's just a good refresher at the very least.
Yeah, I love your feedback.
It does help. Yeah, absolutely. And it does help knowing how to interact with people. I remember, some very poignant examples where I'll quickly go there, actually, because I think it's very interesting. And I previously was working with them. They were effectively a business partner. And I realized that the currency I was exchanging with them was wrong for them. And I was, they didn't need money from me. What they needed was this other kind of currency. And when I gave them the thing that they needed, which I never actually asked for, it transformed our relationship. And that was very, very beneficial. So yeah, really profound stuff there. Paul, an absolute joy. I knew it would be, but I really, really enjoyed it. And hopefully I'll get to come out and see you in Oxford at some point soon. We can share a beer.
Yeah, that would be awesome when we can all travel and fly. But we appreciate you giving the gift of time and the opportunity on your platform to share some thoughts. And if people want to connect with me, I'm pretty easy to find because of my lovely surname. So you can find me on LinkedIn. I post business tips every day, or Instagram is another one of my favorite platforms. I tend to kind of focus on those two. So if you want to figure me out, just find Paul Avins on LinkedIn or Instagram and connect. Love to hear about what you're up to or answer any questions.
Perfect. And what I'll do is I'll grab those links from you and I'll put them in the description as well, so people got easy access.
Great
Paul,
stuff. Simon,
awesome.
Thanks ever so much, man.
Pleasure.
Take care.
So that was Paul Avins. Absolutely a joy to speak with him, and really good to reconnect with him properly. I thought some really good stuff in there. For me, I really liked the pendulum element. I thought that was absolute gold. Why didn't someone tell me that 10 years ago? Oh my God. So valuable. Really also looking forward to taking the profile test. I think, I have done similar things in the past and found them incredibly rewarding. Both helped me work with my team members better and also helped me hire the right people. And from what I've talked with Paul a little bit beyond the interview when we was off camera, and he's explained a little bit about the depth there. So that looks like a really valuable tool. So check that out as well. Okay, that is it from me for now. I look forward to speaking to you again soon in the very near future. Bye for now.